I think it was love the PowerPoint. So right now we want to step on the scale and say, where are you right now? Now, this is something you could do again in January. I like doing this quarterly where you're taking a look and just saying, man, where am I in my relationships? This is a great one to do with your spouses. It's a great one to do with your kids. Just take out the word work and put in school, and you can have them do this exercise now. So right here, we're going to talk about our struggles. We're going to talk about these areas. Did my screen change to the 7 boxes? Cool. Yep. So right now, and this is real quick, this isn't going to take long. Okay. In your work life, where are your 2 biggest struggles in work? Could be I'm having a leads problem, closings. I'm working too many hours. Can't keep a team member. If you have a team, your TC maybe, a showing assistant, not happy with my splits. I'm looking down at my GCI and what's in my pocket, and man, they take a lot of money, yet they're not supporting me. I've had that conversation. Man, one of my guys called me, named Jaime. He goes, hey, I just looked down and I got 30 grand that I paid to my brokerage and I don't use any of the resources. Now that's kind of a 2-way street, right? But he wasn't. So he decided he was going to make a move, but he was frustrated, but he didn't look at it until the end of the year. I'm like, well, dude, if you looked at it earlier, you wouldn't have spent 30 grand. Maybe it was only 10. So what are your 2 frustrations at work? Now we want 2 money frustrations. So money could be not tracking it, could be credit card debt, student financial aid loans. What are 2 biggest frustrations you have around your money? Third one, love life, significant other, could be single and dating. Like, what are some frustrations around the, communication, not spending enough time together, spending too much time together. That could be a thing. Could be not shutting it down at night. I have one gal that I coach. She's in Florida, and her partner, they work together. And so they're like, it's all business till 8, 9 o'clock at night. And then they go to bed and repeat the next morning. I'm like, dude, you guys need a break. You need a cutoff time. You need a bell in the house. You need a cell phone basket. It's downtime, even if it's like 30 minutes. Hey, we're going to put it down and I'll check back in 30 minutes. Deal. And you both put the phone down. You both go for a walk. You both go do something. You eat dinner, whatever. It's got to be a frustration that you acknowledge first before you can figure out the solution. And that'll be the next step. Okay, family. So this is kids. This is siblings. This is parents, right? Like, hey, I'm not, and especially with COVID, maybe we haven't traveled as much to see our siblings or our family. Maybe it's like I went back to the East Coast because it was an emergency flight to go see my mom. It wasn't like, hey, let's go back and see my parents, right? So I need to make 2 trips mandatory a year to go back East, because it's a lot also to take my kids and off their schedules. A lot of you know me, Tatum does full-time gymnastics 5 days a week. It's not easy for me to go, yeah, let's go 5 hours on a flight cross country to stay a day and a half and fly back. That's not fun. It was easy on an emergency. It wasn't easy when it's just for pleasure. So I got to figure out if I can lock in though and commit to 2 times a year, that'll help me fill my relationship wheel in regards to my family. Or maybe there's a relative. I had someone who, had a child they hadn't talked to in a long time, divorce, no connection. And so now he's having regular visits, hangouts, and phone calls with his son. I'm like, man, it's been like 3 years of just kind of like feeling bad about it and like taking action and not being received on the other side. And by acknowledging it and me saying, hey, dude, I'm going to fine you $5,000 if you don't do it. He then like took more action. And now it's like, he just pushed harder to finally break down those walls. And now it's been like 9 months. He's had a better relationship. So those things though, I got to acknowledge it. I got to recognize it. Where am I frustrated? 2 top things in your family. Now, spirituality, I've often struggled with this one, but if it's like, if you want to think of this as more religious, it could be, where's your faith at? I just think of the groundedness of you as a person. Like, let's be real. You can make a lot of money in our businesses, and especially the last couple of years, but I think in the next 4 to 5, we're projected to do a lot, and you can get off the rails, derailed, and make super bad choices. Or you can be uber successful, do great things with your money, and give a lot back to the community. And I think that only happens when you're grounded in your faith, spirituality, yourself. So just really knowing yourself. Maybe it's, man, I'm disconnected. I need to meditate more. I do need to get back to church because it's been COVID. I haven't been really wanting to sit there with a mask. So I'm just going virtual, or maybe you haven't done anything and you need to go virtual or start to go back in person. So just some ideas. Okay. 2 friend frustrations. Again, this could be not enough time with them, not enough hangout time, no trips. I've had girls that used to go on yearly girl trips and they haven't been on a girl trip, and not all of them want to go on trips. So they're not all going on the trip. There goes another year. Right. And so figuring out something else, we'll have a virtual happy hour, try to do something different where you're engaged together. I have one, he does a book club with his family. Mom's in, sisters in Colorado, mom's in Canada, and they do a book club to stay connected. So they all have something to talk about. They can all be texted about something, but then they actually jump on a Zoom and do a virtual book club with the family. I'm like, dude, that's a great idea. I have another one that does virtual gaming. So how you can get on these Xboxes or Nintendo Wii and play Mario Kart. Well, I can Mario Kart, and I can have Holly be in, and we can race together. I could have my sister and my sister's kids race together, and they're 2,500 miles away. What a cool technology tool to connect with friends, family, etc. So where are the 2 frustrations with the friend category? And the last one's self. And sometimes this is around health, maybe I'm drinking too much. Maybe I'm drinking not enough, but not often. I'm drinking too often. A glass of wine every day isn't that bad. Yeah, it is. Skip a day or 2 and see if your body starts shaking. Then it's a problem. Or I got the COVID 15, 20, 30 pounds of extra love there, that because we weren't going to the gym, working out, we're eating crappy, we're emotionally screwed. And so we just eat a bunch. I don't know. I think that a lot of us have certain things that we would like to better about ourselves. And so we want to say, man, what are 2 things that are frustrating right now? Not enough sleep, waking up too early, hitting the snooze too much, not hitting the gym, not getting on a regular fitness plan, not just going for regular walks. It doesn't have to be, joining CrossFit and doing 75 hard. It could be, man, I just need to go on a nightly walk for 10 or 15 minutes. Right. Maybe it's, I swore to myself I would educate myself more about money. And as I've gone older and want to learn more about the stock market and investments and whatever. And I haven't been doing that. So I'm frustrated that I get these false starts of things that I want to accomplish and want to do. I bet we could all go back and think of goals that we've put in place in Januaries, and they keep being repeater things that we think about throughout the year. And maybe we're writing it down every January. I got to doing this, Wheel of Life deal, for the last 10 years, and through the core training as a coaching company, they introduced it to me, and it's every year, and we do it. And then in the beginning I would do it, and then I just kind of go into a little folder and then go away for a while. And then the next year I'd be writing it down. I'm like, wow, 7 out of the 10 things I'm writing down again is frustrations. And then finally I learned, man, I need to pull this out. I need to look at it more. And so we'll talk about that when I get into tactics. So now in about 30 seconds or less, you're going to go down the right-hand column, and you're going to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in each of those categories. So if in the work category, you're like, dude, I'm killing it. Record year. I'm keeping a lot of money. I don't have a lot of expenses. It's awesome. That's a 10. If in the money category, man, I choose to work. I got enough money in the bank. I don't even need to work. I just do this for the fun of it. That's a 10. If it's, dude, I'm paycheck to paycheck, scrapping, I got so much debt, I'm having rough time sleeping at night, that's a 3. Okay, so let's get in and real quick, just run down there 1 to 10. What would you rate yourself right now? That doesn't mean this is your forever score. This is right now. I feel like I'm a 7 at work. I feel like a 5 with my money. I feel like a 6 in the love life. I feel like family is like a 6, spirituality, 5, friends, 5, self, 6. So kind of well balanced, but pretty low scores that I would give myself in those categories. So write down your numbers. Don't overthink it. Whatever number comes to your head, top scale of 1 to 10. What do you think about yourself, friends, spirituality? Bam. I'm a 5. I'm middle of the road. I'm a 7. I'm doing pretty good. I'm a 3. I'm really sucky right now. I need improvement. It's okay. This is kind of the sad part. Like, man, where are you from? Like, you just wrote down 14 things that you're frustrated about in your entire life. That pretty much covers it, right? From work to self, from home to friends and family, your own spirituality. Okay. Well, let's now take this and put it visually. I used this analogy before, like a tire. So what I want you to do is whatever score you wrote down for your money, you're going to go up that many from the center. So if you wrote 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then put a little line here and make that look like a plus sign. And so if you on the work category, if you gave yourself a 7, you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put a little line there so it looks like a plus sign. Self, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like whatever number you put, and just put the little line there, and I'll give you 30 seconds. It's not that long. You just got to flip pages or slide it to the side. Whatever score you gave yourself, just count up from the center outwards. Okay, now with that one, now look, I've seen the circles that are kind of big, and I've seen the ones that are small, and I've also seen, the flat tire. I've seen the kidney shape. I've seen the star. Man, I'm really good with my money, good with work, but myself is not good. My friend relationships aren't that great. My family, my love, like I really haven't, I've been distracted with all my personal stuff. So literally money and work are good. Okay. But none of that's going to be around when all the other stuff crumbles. Right. And we all get this, but it's a matter of how do I pay attention more often? How do I just step on that scale, one of the 7, more often? And what we want to figure out is how do I keep scores high in the areas that are high and raise a little up 1 notch, 2 notches in all the other areas. That will balance it out. So it's not like the tire is not like clunk, clunk, clunk. It's like bump, 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 right? It's minor little things. And then it's a constant progression of getting better in each of those areas. So as we go, the next part is where will you be? What will that future you look like in each of that category, and where do you want to be next year? Now I say next year, but some of the stuff you're going to be you could knock out between now and December. If you said, yeah, I just want to get on a regular fitness program. I'd like to drop like 10, especially during the holidays. That would be awesome. You could do that between now and December. I don't need to wait till January to have an accountability partner, hire the trainer, have the appointment. Like those are things I don't need to do. Sean should be doing this, by the way, Steph. Okay, so here we are. He's probably just doing it in the background because I'm that loud. Okay, so 7 boxes. Here you are. Where do you want to be? Set 2 work goals for next year. It could be hire an assistant, hire a showing assistant, start doing a P&L, increase your leads from 30 a month to 40 a month, track your leads, use the CRM, track your conversion, improve your conversion. Like I can't say increase my conversion unless I know what my conversion is now and can put a firm number to it, right? So when I can say, if I go back, it was like 2016 and I was at 9% conversion from lead to close, and now we're at 30% conversion. Now that's been a diehard effort on sales, conversion, role play, scripting, tactics, better lead sources, more gifting, more current client refer. Like there's been a laser focus on how to move that number, but it was because A, I tracked the number, B, I was annoyed by the number, and then I invested in moving the number higher. And it's paid off because I don't need, if I got 100 leads and was closing 9, that's not a great formula when you could close 30. And I want to get more. I want to get to 40. If I could get to 40%, that'd be a stupid number, but I want it. And so I'm focused on it. And so that's one of my work goals. So what's 2 work goals? It could be decrease hours, right? You could be working 60 hours a week. Like, man, if I could just get to 55, it'd be good. And I go in 5-hour chunks. If you said decrease your hours, I only allow 5-hour chunks because any more than that is too much unless you hired somebody. Then you could reduce it. So if it was hire a body and reduce by 10 hours, I would do that. But any more than 5 hours is too unattainable. Okay, money. So what's a money goal? Now, first of all, if you're not doing a budget, write down, I will do a monthly personal budget with my significant other. That should be a thing that you're just doing every month. Like every month, I know it's hard. I had a bunch of false starts, finally got it. Most of you have read my book and know my story. I was like 150 something $1,000 in debt graduating college, not high school, college, 17 credit cards, all maxed out. Go Devils. I got my Adidas flip-flops going down Palm Walk because they gave me a $500 MasterCard. I take 20 more steps and they give me a backpack to carry my flip-flops to get the $500 Visa. I rack those up and they extend my limit to 1,000. I'm like, guys, let's go to Maloney's on campus. It's on me. And here you go. Fast forward 8 years of college and I'm not a doctor. And I had 150 G's in debt and no way to get out of it. No plan, no nothing. And the only reason I knew I had that number was when I was told to tell someone the number. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. Wow, like how dumb is that I wouldn't even know the number, right? Now that number's long gone, no debt, just the houses, and it's a pretty good feeling. But it's only because I've done the monthly budget and my wife knows the budget every single month. So you gotta be on the same page, but you've got to track your money. It's not what you make, it's what you keep. It's not what you make, it's what you keep. So as a realtor, you should be doing a P&L because you're 1099. P&L, profit and loss. How much are we spending, honey? How much are we bringing in? Cool. How much are the taxes? Let's save 25% over here. So later on, it's not a crazy bill. It's just pulled out. Just like me as W-2, it's just pulled out. I never get it. You get it. So you need to take it out real quick before you spend it, right? Then I do a personal budget. How much did we bring in post-tax? How much is in there? And then what are we paying out on? What's that thing? And then I can also plan, hey, you want to do a Disney cruise? Okay, it's 14 grand. No, we can't. Let's do it for 2023 and we'll save up for it and pay cash or swipe the card and pay it off the next month and get a whole bunch of points. But you can only swipe the card if you have the cash to pay it off. You can't swipe the card and say, we'll just do it off future closings. No, that's how you get into Greg trouble. So we don't do that. So personal budget should be in your money. Maybe it's knock out a credit card. Maybe it's knock out my 5 credit cards, starting with the lowest balance and do the snowball Dave Ramsey deal. I like that one. Knock out the small one, then start applying everything to the second one, then start applying to the third one. By the time it's all gone, then take that same amount of money and start shove it into an E-Trade, Robinhood stock account and watch it blow through the roof. Right now, I'm paying something that's charging me 3%, 7%, 11%, and I'm not able to invest it somewhere where it's making me 18, 20% last year. Imagine that swing. I've got clients of mine that were paying debt last year of call it average of 10%, and they could have been made 20% in the S&P 500. It's a 30% swing on your money. Wow. Wow. So that's why I make a big point about the money part. Now, love life. If it was like communication, I would say the number one thing you should commit to is a date night. Could be a date night, could be a date lunch, could be a date breakfast. But every week there's got to be hangout time with the spouse. Every time. Every day there should be like uninterrupted check-in time, like 10 minutes, phones are down. We're not turning on Desperate Housewives, Beverly Hills, OC, whatever, Walking Dead. Hey, wait, before we play it, how was your day? How'd that appointment go? How's your friend you told me was sick last week with the West Nile virus, right? How's she doing? Like check in with the spouse. And then, okay, now you can turn on The Walking Dead. Let's see what happens. There's only three more episodes left and then it's all over. Like, let's watch it. Okay. Family, whatever you wrote for your frustration, just look back and say, man, what's the fix for that? And I'm happy to help you guys with this. You're like, man, I just can't come up with something. But for me, if it's, maybe if the family's not close by, it's regular check-in phone calls. Maybe it's phone calls when they wouldn't expect it. If I called any of my family during the day, they'd be like, are you okay? Because they know I'm working. They're like, dude, you work too much. You wouldn't call me during the day unless there's a problem. So that means I really care if there's no problem. So I do random check-in calls during the week, especially like driving. If I have any outside appointments, like leaving the office, I pick up the phone and I have to call one family member on the drive. Then I can make as many sales calls as I want on the rest of the drive. But the first call has to be a family member. Like that's a rule. I have it in my calendar in the mornings. It's every other morning. It says call mom and dad. That means if I haven't talked to them since the day before, I have to call them the next morning. It sounds so dumb. You're like, dude, how awful of a son are you that you don't remember to call your parents? Well, it's just me. Like I wake up, I drop the kids off at school. I'm driving in, I'm listening to a podcast. I stop at the grocery store. I walk in. I'm like, oh shit, didn't call my dad. They're 3 hours ahead of me. I missed it. And then I let the whole day go by. And then I'm like, I'll call them tomorrow morning. And then what happens? Same thing happens tomorrow morning. Something happens. I don't remember. I call somebody else calls me. And so then so the pop-up just shows up on my phone. I'm like, let's call dad. Boom. And I call dad. I've had just a much better relationship with them. I had that in my calendar 3 years ago. So now it's more a habit, but I still keep it in my calendar because I've had people tell me, dude, that was a game changer. I put call my sister in my phone. I put call my best friends on Friday because that's VIP day. Or if you're a real estate agent, you call your VIPs on Monday. Like I literally have it in my phone. Call so-and-so. Call your best friends. And you literally don't have to call them all, but it could be like, I'm going to call that friend I graduated college with in LA. Like, because they'll come to your mind when I say call your best friend. Like all of you thought of somebody when I said best friend. And I guarantee if you call them after this, they'll be like, hey, what's up, man? And you'll put a smile on their face. Why? I want to put more smiles on people's faces. So put it in your calendar to pop up and it'll be right there. So that's a good one to strengthen that. That could also fall into the friends category for 2 things to do is have that in the calendar. Could also be to have, like me, set up one family reunion trip a year. Maybe it's family dinner at my house on Sunday, once a month, every other month, quarterly, rotating. You know, we talked about that with my family was I've got like 3 cousins in town and my mother-in-law plus us. So if you did like 4 or 5 people and you did that, you'd be like once a month, once every other month, you'd be the spot, right? Rotating dinner. And so now that my mother-in-law is back, I threw that back on the table. I was like, hey, what if we did that? Who knows if it'll land, but I'm at least offering it. But wouldn't that do something, right? So it could be something with the friends. It might be something along those lines too. Set up a friend trip, even if it's once a year. I've talked to people that have annual fishing trips with their buddy that they've done for like 7 years. I'm like, wow. And even though it's only one time a year, you've got like the lead up to it, you've got the exit from it, then you got random calls throughout the year, and then you do it again, right? I think those are cool ideas. So I'm just throwing stuff out there. And I don't know what you wrote down for your frustrations, but I'm throwing out some of the top things I've heard over the last decade of frustrations. Now, spirituality, again, that's a tough one, but maybe it is like, man, I got a lot of stuff going on in my little brain. If I took 10 or 15 minutes just to like find a quiet spot in my office or here, or I just had Talia come in. She's like, I highly recommend you take a walk outside. It's really nice out. You could clear your brain. I'm like, I got to jump on a Zoom, but maybe I'll do it after. But like taking a 10-minute walk outside, 5 minutes, walk around your building, walk around your neighborhood. It refreshes you for the rest of the day. It's a form of walking meditation. Don't take your phone with you. Take a 5-minute walk around the neighborhood. Steph, you could walk out with the girl, like, hey, let's go for a little walk. She would love it. And then I come back, you go at that back little sneaky gate you got, go into the ravine, come back. You're like, oh, shut the top secret gate. And then you're back, but it feels good. And then how's the rest of my day look? It looks a lot better because I got the break. If Mark walked into his other room or shut the door and said, hey, team, I need 5 minutes, and then just closed his eyes and breathed for 5 minutes. Maybe he does some Wim Hof on the Wim Hof app. Maybe he does the box breathing, 4 inhales, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, and repeat for 5 minutes. Then I guarantee he's going to be done and be like, whoa, I feel refreshed. My eyes feel unzoomed. I feel good. And then he can crush the rest of his day. So maybe that's something for the spirituality. Maybe the spirituality is, hey, I'm going to start yoga once a week. Maybe it's I'm going to take a course in meditation. Maybe I'm going to read a book on spirituality or faith. I don't know, research it. Okay, last one is self. So again, whatever your frustration was there. Now look, if it was hire a trainer, meal prep, hire a food company, those are all things if you're not feeling like you're at your top physical condition, or if you feel like you've gone backwards a little bit, like, man, I'm 48, metabolism's not where it used to be. I need to switch up my workouts. I need a new workout program. Maybe I'll hire a trainer to give me a program, or hire a trainer, because some of us need appointments. Like even paying the 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks to have the appointment with the trainer is worth it, because you'll just at least show up. Whereas if I didn't have the appointment, I wouldn't show up. Now, also having the appointment, you'll be able to push a little harder because you'll actually have someone like, do 5 more. You know you can. Let me put a little more weight on there, Grandpa. Come on, right? Run a little faster. Do 5 more reps. Okay, so with this one, this is the better one, right? Like this is the where do I want to be? I want to be 10 pounds lighter. I want to sleep a full 7 hours. I want to read a book every month. I want a better relationship with my parents. So I'm going to visit them twice a year. I'm going to call them minimum 3 days a week. I'm going to FaceTime. I'm going to, send them something. I'm going to gift them an edible arrangement or something that they really like every quarter, random gifting to your parents, your family members, your cousins. Like those are all things that will keep me more engaged with them and keep my wheel fuller and more open. Okay, so of these 14 that you just wrote down, I just want you to think just take a second, look at them all, reread them all, and say which one is the one that you really want to focus on. Which one's the most important to you? Could be like, man, I think that if I could get on a consistent date night with my husband or wife, like that would really be good for our relationship. I'm like, that's the one. Or it's budget. I've been talking about a budget. I've been talking about my money for a while. And I think now is finally the time. Budget. That's the number one thing. Like, what is the number one thing? I'll give you a second just to look through there and just see, like, what is it? And then write that one down again. Okay, there's only one more part. Okay, so that's it for the wheel of life. And again, that wasn't a lot of heavy business planning. It did talk about your work, and we'll tie that a little into the next one. But the main crux there is that all these ancillary things will affect my business one way or another. Meaning if I'm not doing good in those other areas, I'm not feeling good about my money, I'm paycheck to paycheck, I'm like sitting there like not even knowing where it's going, missed opportunity. I'm not like maybe I feel like my spouse is a roommate, not my spouse. I think people have all had if you're newly married, you haven't had that moment yet, but you'll have that moment. I've had that. And it's not a fun feeling, right? And you're kind of in the friend zone with your significant other. It's not good. You should be friends with them, but there should be intimacy. There should be a great relationship there. And if it's not, man, it takes away from work. But when things are rocking at house and you're like, dude, great relationship, great spouse, man, like we're having a great time together and we're having date night. We're super connected. We're on the same page. We got, big visions, big goals together. Dude, I'm walking into work like floating. Right. And so that's why it's super important to stay focused on these. And we'll touch more on at the end, how to stay focused on those. So this is the last part. The 1-year business plan. Now, again, you may not know your numbers right now, so you might have to come back to this, but I'll go right through here. Is right now, either right now or where you're projected at, what do you think you're going to finish with your income for 2021? So you're like, man, I'm on track to hit 100 grand. Cool. This is net. This is taxable. So this isn't the GCI. This is what did you get? So like I made 100, but I got 80%. Okay, you got 80 grand. So 80 grand came to you. So you got the 80 grand. How many units was that? Okay. So if let's call it 100 because that's easy. And let's say the average commission was 20. That means you did 5 deals, right? If your average commission was 10, you did 10 deals. Okay. So how many units did you do? You might not be super exact. You might say, oh man, I'll do about 15. I'll do about 25. I'll do about 50. I don't know. There's some big hitters on this call. So how many units are you doing? How much did you make? How many people do you have on your team? Right now, this is you. Maybe it's you have a TC. So that's I have one person on my team. You could be partnered up. So you've got one person as your partner, and then you also have a TC. That's 2. So how many current staff members do you have? Now, if you outsource some stuff, it just depends on how much you're out. If you outsource about 20 hours a week, then there's a half. I put a half on there just so I'm having somebody in there. You hire like a virtual assistant, online social stuff, something's getting outsourced that could be man hours for you. I would count that. Current business expenses. Now, if you're not doing a P&L, you wouldn't know this, but you could probably ballpark it. I've got a great bookkeeper if anyone needs one. He does books, not taxes. So he does the books for your tax person, which makes it really good. But they do the budget for you, both personal and professional. So I've had them for about 3 years. It's Streamlined Business Solutions. Some of you know them already in our market. But they're also nationwide. So if anyone wants to use them, they can. But if you don't know, you're spending gas, cell phone, ads, marketing, your mailers, your evidence of success, letter of the heart, your client parties, like on average, what are you spending every month? You should know that number. If you don't, it's not going to kill our data today. It's just something to track, to pay attention to for next year. Biggest sources of business. So right now, where are you getting your business from? Is it from out-of-state real estate agents? Is it from your database? Is it from online leads? Maybe a portion of it is from, Boomtown, Commissions Inc., Follow Up Boss, somewhere. And maybe another portion is your database. Another portion could be, I call them VIPs, but it could be business people like the financial planner, the divorce attorney, the CPAs, small businesses. I have an agent that's in a B&I group that has 2/3 of their income comes out of a B&I group. And he does a lot of deals, like top, I forget what percentages, like top 5% nationwide RE/MAX agent. And he gets a ridiculous amount. So that's a big source, obviously, of his business. Okay, the current weakness in your business is probably going to be tied to one of the frustrations you wrote on the first page. So what's one of your biggest weaknesses you have right now? Could be lead generation, lead conversion, marketing, hiring, right? If you've been hiring a bunch of people this year, like, man, I just can't hire a good person. Hiring could be a weakness. Your net income per transaction is just go back up and divide line 1 by line 2. So if you made the 100 and you closed 20 deals, then you're making $5,000 a deal, or vice versa. So quick math, I'll let you break out your calculators while I grab some water. And like I said, if you don't have exact numbers, just ballpark it. And you can just print out another form and then go back and figure this out, because the amount of time you spend on this will be commensurate with how much you actually get out of it next year. You want to make sure you're tracking these numbers so you know exactly where you're at, so that I can then be very calculated with next year. And I can literally predict how much I can make. I can predict where I need to put more of my energy to make the income that I really want next year. Okay, yearly savings. So you might not know this, but typically there's an amount that you've saved and invested. This is something you might look up in your bank account. How much have I deposited year to date? If you have some sort of an E-Trade, Robinhood, Merrill Lynch, whatever, you can go in and see how much you've given them year to date. So that's something you want to look up later. But why do I track savings? Because it's more important than tracking my income. It's not what you make, it's what you keep. I've done a loan for an agent that made 600 that did not make 600. Like, he didn't make the 600, nor did he keep anywhere near what he should have. And it's interesting to me, right? And then I do another one. The agent did not make as much as that person, but had way more money in the bank because he was focused on the money. And so it needs to be a focus of ours to be watching the money. Like, I need to generate it by doing the business, but then I need to watch where it goes after I close the deals. Okay. Current hours, like just ballpark. I mean, because you're available on Sunday doesn't mean that you're working the hours on Sunday. But if you're putting in, I'm doing showings 3 hours on Sunday, I'm out 6 hours on a Saturday, and I'm easily working 7-8 hours every day. Okay. Add those numbers up. Like, whatever you think you're doing on a weekly basis. We need to track our hours, because you can't be working 80 hours a week in this business. There's no need to. You can work less hours and make more money if you work more efficiently. But I only can do that if I'm tracking my hours. In my time management class, I tell the story of when I first got into the core, my coach made me track my hours. I was at 84 hours a week. 84 hours a week. And now that's like bell to bell. Like, I'm like in there, in the office, working in the office till 11, 12 at night, go home, sleep for 3 hours, get up, go to the gym, go straight to the office and do it again. It wasn't, I'm working from home, I'm working at night while I'm watching TV. It was, I was in the office 84 hours a week. It was not healthy. And so I had to learn how to hire, learn how to have a process, learn how to have a team, and now not work 84 hours. So that was in a week. God, that's stupid. Okay. Last one, my average sales price. So whatever your volume is this year, divide by how many units you've done. Some of you have programs. You can just go into the MLS and pull it up. Some of you already track your numbers and know that number. For me, I want to know my average loan size. For you, you want to know your average sales price. Average sales is in buy side and list. So take your volume, divide that by units. That is an important number because obviously if I'm making 3% of 200, I could also make 3% of 400, 800, or a million. I'd rather make the 3% of a million. Now, as you know, obviously turn times and whatnot in regards to the sale of the property, there's a sweet spot for you to turn the most amount of properties with the max amount of commission. Because if you just started doing $3 million homes, that's a big number, but they don't turn as fast. So there's a sweet spot in your area, in your farm that you want to target market to get the max amount of money and in the most efficient amount of time. Okay, so 2022, where do you want your income to be? Now, if you don't know a number, just bump it by whatever you're going to do by 20%. That's an easy thing to do. Well, it's not easy to do. It's easy for me to say and easy to write down. That's an easy target to start with if you need one. So if I said go from 100 to 120, then we can back in and figure how many units it is to get there. So with that in mind, take your projected income that you want to have next year. Like, what's that goal? Now, I'd bump it a little bit. If it was 100, I'd go to 150. If it was 200, I'd go to 300. Like, make it big because I'm about going after bigger targets because it'll make you take more actions towards the target. And that way, even if you fall a little short, it's still going to be more than where you would have been if you hadn't set the target so big. So go a little bigger when you say my taxable income in 2022 will be. Now take that number and divide it by your average commission, and that will give you your units for number 2. Now you'll see a formula here. We're big on teams because just like if I go to a restaurant that's short-staffed, and I think you all would recognize this, the service isn't that great. I'm probably not going back anytime soon, and I'm definitely not telling any of my friends to go there. So what I did was to create a team that is the restaurant that you get into that it's just humming. Like there's a lot of people in there, a lot of staff in there. Hey, Holly, glad you could come in today. Your usual table. Let me sit you down. Let me get you the same drink. You want the lemon in there, but no straw, right? Okay. Light ice. Gotcha. Like it's just an amazing, like the top line here up here. Our mission is to create a great client experience. Now I'll add on to that. So you come back to me and refer me all your friends, family, and coworkers along the way. Let me repeat that. My job is to create a great client experience so that you come back to me and you remember me so that you can refer your friends, family, and coworkers. Anybody you run it, you can refer me perfect strangers. If I create a great experience at my restaurant, they want to come back and they want to tell their friends about, oh my God, I went to Greg's restaurant. It was, the food was great. Service was awesome. Sat me right away. Didn't wait a long time. They gave me the bill and I sat there for an extra 15 minutes and they didn't even rush me to leave. You ever been to that restaurant that's trying to turn tables really quick because they just want more money? It's annoying. And I don't go back. I go to another restaurant because there's plenty of restaurants. There's 50,000 realtors. There's plenty of private mortgage banks. There's plenty of banks. There's plenty of online banks that people can go to. So I better create a great experience. And that only happens when I leverage people, like having a ridiculous transaction coordinator that can handle the back end of your deal so you can go get more deals. Have a showing assistant that can take someone out to 5, 6, 8 properties. You just negotiate it later and then give it to your TC. Great model. So with that, you'll see here, that's why you'll see you should have a certain number of staff members. It's for every 3 to 5 transactions as a realtor, you would have an assistant. So if you're closing 5 consistently, and I'd say 2 months trailing into 3, then it's time to, I need to get a TC. It should be the first hire right off the bat. And typically I would say, hey, get somebody that's on a per file basis right now, because that money goes a long way when you don't have to deal with the end. I don't need to be available for it. And I can then go into sales mode and just go generate another couple more leads that will turn into deals and closings, buyer broker agreements, listing contracts, so that I can put more to my TC rather than thinking I'm just going to do it all. I can't, there's no way. That's why you do 84 hours and not close as many loans as when you can work 35 or 40 hours and close a ridiculous amount of loans, because you leverage the right people with the right processes. Okay, down here, your business expenses. Now, again, I don't know what they are now. You might need to bump them if you're going to do more things like mailing and farming and client parties and things like that. That's part of one of my other classes that we'll be advertising, but that's something to think about. Like, how do you stay top of mind with all of your agents? Barring the phone call is the cheapest one, very impactful, but you need some automated stuff like the postcards that go out. Like I just did. These are my evidence of success card. We send out testimonial cards that go out to our clients every single month. So that way, I mean, look, they're grabbing it and throwing it in the recycle bin. I hope it's recycled. If they grab it, recycle, grab it, recycle. And all I want them to know is like, hey, Greg's still doing mortgages. Greg's still doing mortgages. And in another year, when rates correct, or they're like cash out, or like, hey, I'm selling, I'm going to buy another one, they call me and say, hey, I want to do something. I'm like, great. Or they call the realtor that calls me and they're like, oh yeah, I remember Greg. Like, oh yeah, I got his card the other day. Like, I want that again, they're going to remember me only if I'm memorable. And it's in the deals, the turn cycle to do another deal with a client for us is like 5 to 10 years. So during that 5 to 10, you better be mailing them, calling them, having parties. And that takes a little bit of an investment. I sometimes exchange the word expense to invest. How much will you invest in your business next year? What will you do to invest in a person to help you with your social, invest in a person to do your transaction coordination, invest in the farming, invest. Okay. Now, new sources of business. This isn't to repeat what you're already doing. This is to say, what's one or two other things like, I'm going to farm my neighborhood. Now, look, if you live in a neighborhood that should be farmed, you should be farming it. Meaning, if you're in the mobile home park and the price points are like 150, I wouldn't farm there. But if you live in a place that's 400, 500, 600 and it's got a good turn rate and you live there, I would be farming it. I'd be having a pumpkin stand in my driveway next weekend, like the 23rd and 24th. Free pumpkins for the neighbors. I do real estate. I'd be wearing shirts. I do real estate. Want to buy a house, want to buy another house. I'd be walking my dog everywhere. Like, isn't my dog cute? Look, he does loans. Like, I would be all up in my neighborhood. I would be mailing. I'd be flyering. I don't know. I'd have a food truck. I mean, I could do a ton in my neighborhood, right? Because it's your hood. And if anything comes up, you're right there. I'm not into farming an hour away. It's not convenient. Even if it's the best price point in the world, it's not efficient. Pick somewhere that's geographically close to you, that's a great price point, great turn rate, and put a farming plan in place. That's something I could put in there. Maybe it's finally going like, man, Greg keeps mentioning these divorce attorneys. They run about 12 to 18 cases at a time. There's usually a sell and 2 buys in there. I mean, it's like, why wouldn't I want to be friends with that guy or gal that's doing the mediation? I like better than divorce attorneys, mediators, because people that go to mediation, or in Arizona, collaborative attorneys, people come wanting to work things out. So when they call me, they're not like, oh my God, that effing whatever. And I'm like, oh man, that's not good, right? They're going to be hard to work with. I want to work with the ones that are like, yeah, we're coming to the table, cards face up. We just want to know our options. We're going to sell that one. He's going to buy one right away. I'm going to rent for 6 months and then buy one. Great, cool, happy to help. I get 2 deals, you get 3. So that maybe that's part of your 22 business plan. Maybe it's the financial planners. Those guys, people trust those people with their money. Look, 23% of purchases right now are all cash. Where do you think they have the cash? With the financial planner. So who do I want to know? The person with the cash, the financial planner. And the financial planner is like a little Instagram, TikTok influencer. They've got like 500 followers and they follow them for sure. Like, they're real, not fake. Hey, I'm just calling because I was just talking to Greta and she's got, $700,000. She's going to buy a house cash. Can you help her? Absolutely. Why? But they're not calling me if I'm not in front of them, if I'm not calling them, if I'm not giving them market stats. Did you know that it was 2 Octobers ago? There's it's FINRA. they came out with I don't know if you call it a rule or stipulation, where financial planners have to talk about the equity position of the client's houses. It's now part of their fiduciary where they have to know the equity. So wouldn't I want to introduce maybe HomeBot to my financial planner? Like these are all things that I'm like, wow, that's an in for me. So that might be something you add in. That's number 5 down here. What do I want to add to my business? And again, I'm just throwing out ideas. You can't do them all, but maybe you're like, I'm going to start farming. I'm going to give it a shot. Let's meet with Greg and Holly. Let's meet with Kim. Let's see what we can come up with a farming plan. We have a whole program and can do anything from EDDM, like mass shotgun effect, or we can sniper, absentee homeowner, expiring leases. I mean, we can do some real good stuff with farms. Okay. I will improve on. So go back up to here to my current weakness and put, I will improve on that weakness. I will improve on my lead generation. I will improve on, whether it's I'm going to take a time management class because I wrote that time was my biggest frustration at work, or I'm going to get with Streamline Business Solutions because I'm not good with my P&L and my money. I'm going to get with them. I will improve on my lead gen or my sales conversion. I need to, maybe take some courses in sales training, or I'm going to ask Greg for some books, or how did Greg go from 9% to 30%? Maybe I should sit down and talk to Greg and maybe he'll help me increase my conversion. Maybe I'll hang out with another agent in my office, on my team, in my brokerage, or in my area that I just know has a really high listing appointment to close ratio. That'd be cool. I'm going to meet with that person. Like that's something I could put in there to improve on that weakness. My net income per deal will be. Now, if you're going to raise your price point, you can move this number. So if you were saying, if you're around 15 grand a deal, you're like, I really like to get to 20. Okay, well, that means you need to back into the numbers and figure out what that math looks like to get to that number. My yearly savings, just put 20% of whatever you wrote in number 1. It's a target. So if you put, I'm going to make 250 next year, just roll down here and put, I'm going to save 50. I'm going to save 50 grand. Like just put 20% of the number. Have a target, have a goal. Even if you hit 40, it's more than you would have saved if you never put a target, never did a budget, never did a P&L. I guarantee it. If you pay more attention to the money, you will get more money and the money will grow. Okay. My hours will be, look, you might be working 45, 50, be like, I'm good, man. I'm getting home on time. I'm having dinner with the family. My weekends, I mean, I do normal real estate stuff on the weekends. I'm good. Okay. Keep it the same. Or he's right. I got to knock 5 hours off this number. I really want to stay I'm going to track my hours and I'm going to trim 5 hours off. Cool. Do that. If you could do more business and work 5 less hours a week, wouldn't that be something we want to do all day long? I just need to pay attention to those areas and stay laser focused on it. Okay. And the last one, my new sales price. So if you are going to raise your sales price, if you're saying, my average this year is 350 and I think I can move it to 4. I think with farming, I mean, look, it should move up anyways with appreciation, but we're not going to see like 30%. But even if it goes up 10, your average should go up 10. So if you're at 400, you should go up to 440. So I'd put 450 maybe as my calculation, unless you're like, man, I didn't know my average is so low. What's going on? Oh, my past clients were all from my old neighborhood. I need to farm a new neighborhood. I need to work with a financial planner because they have high net worth people. The financial planners aren't referring you people that are buying 150, 200, 250 houses, unless they're investment properties. They're referring you the high net worth clients. Every referral I have from a financial planner is upper like 3/4 to $1 million. Every one of them. That's why I've focused on them to stay engaged, because I know their referrals are high and the referrals convert at a very high level. The conversion when you get referred by someone who the client already know, likes, and trusts, like they're handling their millions of dollars in portfolio, the CPA that's doing their taxes and their income, when I get those referrals, they're not, well, I'm going to call another couple lenders. No, because their CPA gave them my number. My trusted advisor gave me your number, Greg. I am going to work with you and your team because my trusted advisor told me. That's why that's such a great thing. Same with the divorce attorneys, the mediators. Now, my guy told me to call you. I'm not calling anybody else. Like that's a thing, right? I want to make sure that I'm doing that. So let me come off the screen here. So that's it. You've got your whole wheel of life. You've got the 1-page business plan. You're probably going to have to do this again. Like what I would do is time block Saturday morning. If you don't have showings or people to do, like grab a cup of coffee, go for a walk first to get the blood pumping, and sit down, put in all these forms again and go through it again. Like rewrite the 14 things you wrote that you wanted to do between now and the end of next year. I guarantee there's some on there you could finish by the end of the year. You could at least get started. And some of them you might be able to finish out by Q1 and then do this again, put it in your calendar again, March 1 and put Wheel of Life again. And that way, or April 1. So you get through quarter 1. Rewrite this again and keep it in front of you. Like what we say is laminate it and keep it on your desk. Also keep a copy in your closet, keep it in your car, maybe take a picture and have it in your phone under a favorite. So you can be looking at it every once in a while. I have it in my calendar, 6 a.m. on Monday, review Wheel of Life and business plan. Now, it doesn't mean I'm waking up at 6 going, oh, I better look at this. Or I'm already awake for 2 hours. So I don't stop what I'm doing at 6 o'clock and look at my phone. I see it. And I know that when I plug my laptop in, when I get into the office and I pop up and my Outlook pops up, it's the first appointment of the day says, check Wheel of Life and business plan. And what I do is I make the conscious decision to either pull out the folder, open it up and go through it or go, nah, man, I'm good. I'm buried. I don't need to look at it. But there's no 2 weeks that go by where I haven't looked at it. Because if I didn't look at it the week before, I'm looking at it that Monday. And what happens is the more times you look at it, the more you're like, I did say I wanted to book that appointment with Holly and Kim and do farming. I did say I wanted to go after mediators. I still haven't Googled mediators with my zip code to just call a couple of them and get in relationship with them, right? Like it's a constant reminder to then do that. So book something in the near future, like Friday or Saturday, where you're going to review this again, look back at your numbers to properly fill out the 1-page business form, go back through the where you will be for the next form. And then you can ironclad it out to then have it in your car, in your closet, on your desk, at your house, in your phone, have it so you can see it. Because if you're able to look at it more often, you know that you will have a higher rate of success knocking that thing out. And that's all I got. Does anyone have any questions? Was that good, Steph? Cool. Mark, thank you very much.
It was awesome, Greg.
Kim, that's like the 3rd time you filled it out.
I was wondering, Greg, I was wondering if you could start from the beginning. Can you start over again?
I can, and I'll send you the recording. It'll be identical. Good seeing you, man.
No, it was good, man. Great stuff.
Good. Thanks for jumping on. So look, any of that stuff you want help with, again, I've done this with so many people. I have a lot of I just have a lot of ideas as you've seen, but I can specifically go through your stuff without, it's personal stuff, right? So it's hard to go on a Zoom and be like, hey, I'm having a problem with my marriage. I'm like, okay, but if you book an appointment with me, like I can sit down and help you with stuff that's specific for you and maybe make some introductions to certain people. If it was, man, I really need to get my listing appointment sharp. Cool. Well, let me introduce you to a couple agents I know that are willing to share, a couple courses that you could do too, but a couple that you could even shadow and talk to and go on the listing appointments to actually get better at it. Like that's a thing. And if I could get better at that, it will move the needle in my business. And then you will make more money to be able to save more money. All right, gang. Thank you all for jumping on. I will send the recording out. We'll send a little survey so you can help us out for content for the next ones that you guys are really needing. And I really appreciate you showing up today. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you,
everyone.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.